And I now call George Lyon, who's the newly elected member of the European Parliament for Scotland, to speak in favour of the motion.
Thank you, Conference. Colleagues, as many speakers have already pointed out, devolution is a process, not an event. These were the words of Scotland's First Minister Donald Dewar. And after 10 years of devolution, it is right and reasonable to review that process now. And as we accelerate the campaign to secure more powers for Scotland, let us remember one thing. We are on the right side of this battle. Liberal Democrats are exactly where the people of Scotland are, pro-devolution, anti-independence, in favour of more powers and not content with the status quo. We stand with the majority that are utterly against the upheaval, the confusion, never mind the cost, that there would be in ripping Scotland out of not one but two unions. Why would Scotland want to go down the long and difficult road to rejoin the European Union when we are already a member? Why would we want to renegotiate as a new member state with the pitfalls and penalties that would entail? Would that really be in the best interests of Scotland's farmers, our fishermen, our environment and the economy? I say no. After all, Scotland's interests are not that diametrically different from the rest of the UK. Despite what Alex Salmond claims, it is not some simple consensual divorce. There is no prenup in place, no nest egg to fall back on. In a recent speech to the Scottish Parliament, Alex Salmond argued that Scotland does not have a single vote to cast in Brussels. Well, that is fantasy politics. Back in the real world, Scotland has 29 votes to cast in Brussels if we work with our neighbours to use them. And Ross Finney proved that time after time after time in the 8 years he was our rural minister in Scotland. And it is said that ministers on both sides of the border barely speak to each other anymore. No dialogue, no engagement and no pressing of the flesh to get the best deal for Scotland. Salmond seems happier sitting in his hands rather than offering them in cooperation. If the SNP have their way, Scotland would be sitting at the European top table with barely 3 votes in his back pocket. A pea shooter compared to the big guns of France and Germany with 29. If the SNP worked with their UK counterparts, then they could use the loud, booming voice that the UK has in Europe already. Instead, the SNP choose separation ahead of Scotland's best interests. They want the UK to fail in Europe and Scotland to fail in the UK. Well, Conference, we will not let that happen. As Kevin Lang rightly pointed out, we as a party should have the confidence to take them on and argue and win the debate in a referendum. The problem is not with the system of government, but rather with the parties who are in power at Holyrood and Westminster, who put their own selfish self-interest ahead of Scotland's. The solution is not a change of constitution, but a change of government in Edinburgh and London. Liberal Democrats have used the power of the Scottish Parliament to great effect. We've shown what can be done, and we will do so again with increased powers. With the general election just round the corner, we have to show that it is the Liberal Democrats that offer something different, a party that will stand up for Scotland and make it stronger. Calman is the vehicle that will take us there. It is the antidote to the virus of independence. We support a united, not a divided kingdom. We support more powers for the Scottish Parliament. Liberal Democrats are on the right side of this argument. On Scotland's side, I urge you to support the motion. Thank you, Conference.
Thank you very much, George.